Ever wondered how John Gotti, a legendary mob boss, operated in the shadows of law and order? Our story begins in the Bronx, New York, where John Joseph Gotti Jr. was born on October 27, 1940. The fifth of 13 children, Gotti grew up in poverty, shaping the man he was to become. As a young boy, Gotti was introduced to the world of crime. His father, a day laborer, struggled to provide for the large family, and the harsh realities of life nudged Gotti towards the underworld. The allure of power and wealth that came from organized crime was irresistible to a young boy living in the shadows of poverty. In his teens, Gotti became associated with the Fulton Rockaway Boys, a local gang known for their petty thefts and street fights. But this was just the beginning. Gotti's ambition and thirst for power led him to cross paths with the notorious Gambino family, one of the 5 Italian-American mafia families that dominated organized crime in New York City. By the age of 21, Gotti was a made man, an official member of the mafia. He had a reputation for being both ruthless and charismatic, a combination that made him a formidable figure in the underworld. His criminal activities ranged from illegal gambling and loan sharking to hijacking and murder. But it was his ability to evade law enforcement that earned him the nickname Teflon Don. Gotti's rise to power was marked by violence and betrayal. He was not afraid to eliminate anyone who stood in his way, including the then boss of the Gambino family, Paul Castellano. In a bold move that shocked the mafia and law enforcement alike, Gotti orchestrated the assassination of Castellano, paving the way for his ascension to the top of the Gambino family. Thus began the journey of a man who would later be known as the Teflon Don. As Gotti immersed himself deeper into the underworld, his influence started to grow. Stepping into the labyrinthine world of the mafia, young John Gotti was no more than a small fish in a vast ocean. But this didn't deter him. He was ambitious, ruthless, and more importantly, he was clever. In the late 70s, Gotti started to make his mark in the Gambino crime family, one of the 5 families that controlled organized crime activities in New York City. With unwavering loyalty and a knack for strategic thinking, Gotti swiftly climbed the ranks. His rise to power wasn't without obstacles, but he navigated through them with a cunning mind and an iron fist. His audaciousness was both his strength and his signature. He wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. He was involved in high-stakes hijackings and multi-million-dollar heists that put him on the map. Yet, he remained untouchable. His ability to escape the law earned him the nickname Teflon Don. But his rise within the Gambino family wasn't just about crime. Gotti was a master manipulator, a puppeteer who knew how to pull the strings. He was strategic, choosing his allies carefully and eliminating threats without hesitation. His ruthless tactics were feared, but they were also respected. Gotti's charisma and audacious crimes made him a figure of fascination within the underworld. He was a paradox, a man who carried out brutal acts with a charming smile. But beneath the charm was a ruthless mob boss who would stop at nothing to ensure his rise to power. Gotti's rise in the Gambino family was a testament to his cunning, ruthlessness, and audaciousness. His ability to navigate the treacherous waters of the mafia world was unmatched, and his influence was growing. In the world of organized crime, Gotti was fast becoming a figure to reckon with. At the peak of his power, Gotti was not just a mob boss, he was a symbol of the mafia's defiance. Stepping into the shoes of the Gambino family's head, Gotti was the epitome of audacity and flamboyance. He was not one to shy away from the limelight, quite the contrary. He embraced it, basking in the glow of public attention. His sharp suits, charismatic smile, and larger-than-life persona were a stark contrast to the shadowy figures of the underworld. Gotti was no ordinary mob boss, he was the Dapper Don. Under his reign, the Gambino family soared to new heights. The family's operations expanded, their influence grew, and their coffers swelled. Gotti's audacious operations were a constant thorn in the side of law enforcement agencies. No matter how they tried, they couldn't pin anything on him. He was slippery, elusive, and always one step ahead. Gotti relished his reputation as the Teflon Don. Charges slid off him as if he were coated in the non-stick material. His ability to evade conviction became a thing of legend, further bolstering his public image. The media lapped it up, and Gotti reveled in the attention, unabashedly playing to the crowd. But beneath the dapper exterior lay a ruthless leader. Gotti's reign was not all glitz and glamour. It was marked by violence and fear. Those who crossed him faced dire consequences. He maintained an unyielding grip on power, ruling his empire with an iron fist. His audacity, his defiance, and his flamboyance were all part of the persona he had carefully crafted, but they were also a smokescreen, a distraction from the brutal reality of his reign. For all his charm and charisma, Gotti was a mob boss through and through. He was a man who thrived in a world of shadows, who built an empire on fear and violence. Despite his public image, Gotti's reign was marked by violence, fear, and an unyielding grip on power. Like all empires built on crime and fear, Gotti's reign was not destined to last. The towering figure of John Gotti, the Teflon Don, began to waver in the late 80s. The relentless pursuit by law enforcement, led by the tireless efforts of the FBI, gradually chipped away at the invincible facade of the Dapper Don. Gotti's downfall was as dramatic as his rise. His penchant for flamboyance and public appearances, once his trademark, proved to be his Achilles heel. His every movement was under scrutiny, his every word recorded. This played right into the hands of the authorities, providing them with a wealth of evidence. Trials became a part of Gotti's life. But unlike before, the Teflon coating started to wear off. The trials were no longer mere legal formalities to shrug off. They became battles for survival. Each trial was a spectacle, a high-stakes game where Gotti's freedom hung in the balance. In the early 90s, a breakthrough in the form of an insider, Gotti's right-hand man, Sammy the Bull Gravano, turned state's evidence. His betrayal was the ultimate blow to Gotti's defense. The testimonies provided by Gravano were damning, painting a detailed picture of Gotti's criminal exploits. The trial of the century, as it was dubbed, culminated in a conviction that brought an end to Gotti's reign. The Teflon Don, once untouchable, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The empire he had built crumbled, leaving behind a legacy of fear, violence, and a city scarred by his actions. In the end, even the Teflon Don couldn't evade the long arm of the law. The fall of John Gotti serves as a stark reminder that no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. His story is a cautionary tale, a testament to the inevitable downfall of those who choose a life of crime over the pursuit of justice. John Gotti's life was a paradox, a symbol of power and defiance, yet a testament to the inevitability of justice. This man, whose name is now synonymous with organized crime, was more than just a mob boss. He was a figure who commanded both fear and respect, a man who ruled with an iron fist, yet charmed the public with his flamboyant style and larger-than-life personality. Gotti's operations were far-reaching and complex, extending beyond the confines of New York City. His influence was felt in every corner of the United States and indeed across the world. He was a mastermind behind some of the most notorious crimes of the late 20th century, from racketeering to murder. Yet he was also a family man, a father and a husband who maintained a certain level of normalcy amidst the chaos of his criminal empire. His impact on organized crime was profound. Gotti transformed the face of the mafia, bringing it out of the shadows and into the limelight. He embraced the media, using it as a tool to enhance his public image and assert his power. His reign marked a shift in the way the mafia conducted its business, with a focus on spectacle and public display. And yet, despite his bravado, Gotti was not invincible. His downfall was as dramatic as his rise, and his conviction marked a turning point in the battle against organized crime. John Gotti left behind a legacy that is as controversial as it is fascinating. He is remembered as a ruthless crime lord, a charismatic leader, and a defiant figure who challenged the authorities until the very end. His life story serves as a stark reminder of the thin line between power and corruption, and the consequences of crossing it. His life, his rise, and his fall have been the subject of numerous books, films, and documentaries, all seeking to understand the man behind the moniker, the Teflon Don. Despite his criminal activities, Gotti remains a figure of intrigue and fascination, a testament to the enduring allure of the underworld. And so, the story of John Gotti serves as a chilling reminder of the duality of power and the inevitable downfall of those who misuse it.